What's up, guys? This is Mike Casu. This is the Brute Strength Podcast. This week, I met with my old teammates, Tommy Hackenbrook, Adrian Conway. We talked about our experience with HaxPack and discussed a lot of the things that I think set us apart as a team, how we built a focused team environment and pushed each other. We talked about SEAL Fit, and we talked about different things that these two guys, being individual games athletes, have done that have made them successful, and what they may have done differently if they can go back and change it. Hope you enjoy the show. What's up, guys? This is Mike Casu. This is the Brute Strength Podcast. I've got all of the HaxPack men here, Tommy Hackenbrook, Adrian Conway, and myself. We're going to talk a little bit today about teamwork, specific ways that we have fostered a team environment, from football, different sports, to our CrossFit team that won 2 affiliate cup championships. Thanks for meeting up, guys.
Glad to be here.
Tommy, I have to get off my chest. What are you thinking for 2016? Are you going to pull a Tommy Hackenbrook? Are you going individual? Are you going to win the Southern Regional again, or what?
Yeah, 2016. What I would, in a perfect world, I want to see my little baby girl be born in April and healthy. As far as training, competing, I would love to, step into a role of more of a coach. I really want to see a team from the Salt Lake area win the CrossFit Games. The problem is I don't think I'll be good enough to be a part of that team. The commitment level is not as high for training, so I would love to be like a backup, like the 4th guy on a really good team, and be more of a coach and a mentor. So I'd like to see that come together, but it takes 6 committed individuals, as we all know, the 3 of us sitting here. Something really special happened with our group, and the level of everybody was raised to such a high level because I knew Adrian was doing the work, so I had to do the work, and I knew Mike was doing the work, and we all knew Aaron Benyon was doing the work. Yeah, and then some. So, I don't want to see people put time and energy in it if they're not all going to be fully committed. Like it really, the landscape has changed so much that that's what it takes. There's people out in Cookeville who take this stuff very seriously, and so I want to see people around here take it seriously. But as for me, I'm training. I'm loving coaching people right now. All the training I'm doing personally I'm having a lot of fun with it.
Good.
Just trying to hit some milestones. I'd love to hit a 300-pound snatch. I would love to, run a 5-minute mile, although that scares me. One week I want to, one week I don't. Right. So some stuff like that. But more of my focus is on the family, the gyms, being a little bit more of a coach and an ambassador type of person, which is really fulfilled, my love for CrossFit, is been sharing it with other people more lately than it has in the past. So was that a good enough non-answer?
Absolutely. I expected something as vague. Con, how about you, man? Fill everybody in. What's going on with you?
Oh, man. So for me, after the games concluded this year, I took some time to try to get an accurate diagnosis of what was going on with my left shoulder. And basically, my rotator cuff in my left shoulder is torn 25%. I've got some tearing in my supraspinatus, and it causes a lot of pain in a lot of different ways. A lot of functional movement. I've figured out how to manipulate a bar path, and figured out how to get away with wall balls and even bar muscle ups and things like that, and not create a lot of pain. The stuff that created most problems at the games were like the sandbag event, the legless rope climb, flipping the pig,
right?
Stuff that I wasn't able to do on a daily basis in my training because I knew that it caused that pain in my shoulder. So long story short, I've gotten a series of PRP injections trying to avoid surgery this off season. So my training has been a little bit sparse, but I've been trying to do what I can to stay as ready as possible.
Yeah.
And then I'm basically going to make a decision within the next 5 or 6 weeks as of if I'm gonna buckle down and start to grind, or if I'm gonna decide to get it repaired and get surgery and bite the bullet.
So where are you at with balancing, your long-term health of your shoulder, being able to pick up future Conways, stuff like that, with I still want to be a professional CrossFit athlete?
It's a great question. Man, I'm very momentary sometimes in my thinking, so a lot of my thinking goes into this year and what I'm doing now. But I also do want to casually be able to put my arm around my wife and not be able to second guess
Right.
How bad that hurts, or if it's going to cripple me if I move it in just the right way. So, I don't know how long trying to qualify for the games as an individual will continue to be something that I desire to do. But with that, I would never really want to sacrifice long-term health to achieve that goal. I mean, making it as an individual this year was a lifetime achievement for me. Just being there on a team twice and winning it twice was everything that I imagined it would be. But this was kind of like icing on the cake, just to be able to get through a year
Right.
with managing the injury in my shoulder and show up. So, I would definitely consider the long-term health of my shoulder versus sacrificing it all to not be able to use my left arm.
Right. And just to fill y'all in on my athletic career, I'm moving to Santa Cruz with my girlfriend to go train Brooke, be at the beach for a little bit, a hippie, and I'm basically going down to beat Tommy Marquez's ass on a daily basis in the gym. So that's what my athletic career is about these days.
How about spike ball?
No, God no. He is an absolute freak on the spike ball court. I think he grew up with a spike ball in his hand.
Mike's taking his talents to Santa Cruz.
Yes. Yeah. It's a better homeless environment down there. They're more friendly to nomads than this cold over here. So let's talk a little bit about our team experience. Sometimes I think to myself, we got really, really lucky that we had 6 self-motivated people, that 5 of them played D1 college sports. One was a little knucklehead with a chip on his shoulder, and everybody just put in the work. And other times I think we all cared a little bit more, and so we put in the effort to become friends, stuff like that. What do you guys think? What were the things that set us apart outside of we were the fittest?
Well, we definitely shared a common goal. Like when the team came together, there was a strong desire in each person, expressed in different ways, but basically everyone was there for a reason. They wanted to get to the CrossFit Games and have success. So the sharing of that common goal, and it sounds obvious, but there's a lot of different motivational factors nowadays. Not everyone wants to go to the CrossFit Games just to stand on the podium. A lot of people want to go to the CrossFit Games because they think it's going to put money in their back pocket, or because they think it's going to launch, them into some career on the Broken Skull Challenge with Steve, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Right.
And that's kind of the first step in that process. Or just to rub shoulders with Rich Froning. A lot of people want to go to the CrossFit Games just to get his autograph. So sharing a common goal was a big factor, and the work ethic. Most people don't get to a very high level without having a good work ethic. So that that was necessary, but I don't think that's really something that was unique. I think almost any team of 6 people in CrossFit, all 6 share that common thing with a good work ethic. Not all of them share, the common goal, and I think that selflessness plays in much more than we've realized of being a team player. And not only were we Division I athletes, but and this isn't a knock on anyone particular, but like a wrestler, track and field athlete, it's an individual sport. It's a different mindset, and those people can be great team players. Team sport players can be complete individuals, so it's not a universal thing, but we all came from a team sports background. Basketball, soccer, and then football and baseball with you, Mike. So teamwork and a teamwork oriented mindset, which to have all 6 on the same page is not really common, and it's not something that gets developed very much because we're just too focused on developing our lifts and our gymnastic skills and our engine. And even though you can like break the games down into the individual efforts that combine for that score, I don't believe in luck. And you see people on Rich's team, who won this year, and our team when we won, you see us hitting PRs at the games, or performing above our normal level. I saw that with his team. They had weaknesses on their team, and those weaker athletes, I think, overperformed in some areas. Whereas you look at other teams, I don't know if NorCal qualifies because that was more an injury. But I know us for sure, and I know Milford in a couple areas, like people underperformed. And a lot of times that's a difference between, winning and losing. So,
absolutely.
I think, the common goal of wanting to go win the games, and that was our only focus. There weren't really a whole lot of distractions, and then, teamwork-minded people contributed. AC?
I thought that was a great answer. Man, I'll tell you from my perspective specifically, I feel like there was just a great urgency in me to be a part of our specific group. Like I had never been to the CrossFit Games, and I guess I could start with probably a conversation that Tommy and I had. I don't even know if he remembers it or not, but I was in the gym, and it might have been after the first time I worked out with y'all. You crushed me in some IWT, I don't remember.
Okay.
There was overhead squats, and I just scaled terribly. But long story short, we had this conversation, and Tommy was like, yeah, man, I think you're pretty good, and I think you could probably make it to the games out of the Southwest, like probably realistic. But then what are you gonna do at the games? It's like, you're not good enough to get top 10, or you're not good enough to get top 5 yet. And he's like, so what? That's gonna leave you being irrelevant, right? Like, don't you want to win? I was like, yeah, I want to win. He's like, 'cause don't go if you don't want to win. And we had this conversation. I'm like, I'm having all these realizations as we're having this. I'm like, okay, yeah, I need to want to win. I feel capable of winning. If I go, do I feel that way now? No. And he was like, but let me tell you something. If we all focus on working together, we will put together a team. We're gonna have a squad that we're gonna win.
Right.
We're gonna win the CrossFit Games. And I was like, oh, okay, we can win, or I could just show up. Okay, yeah, I like to win, so I'm gonna go all in on this, and I'm gonna do whatever everyone else is doing, and I'm gonna do it times 2, and I'm gonna not be the weakest link. And so, as we started to really be sure of who was gonna establish our 6 for the team that year, like me and Aaron Bennion were the only ones that had never been to the CrossFit Games. Tommy had been numerous times as an individual. You had been on a team. Tay had been individual numerous times. Mary had been on the team, and so it was like I felt like, oh, I can't be the reason we get held back. Like, and no matter what I was capable of, I just always had these doubts, and those fears were what always like helped me commit daily to like what we were doing, and want to always pick up who was ever down and all those things. So I think urgency was a big deal for me because it was a unique environment that I'd never really been a part of that way. When I think of our whole 6 as a unit, I think a lot of that does play into like what Tommy mentioned in regards to. Like no one wanted to be the weakest link, right? And we're all very competitive in nature, which I think was one of those magic things. And I know Rob touched on it when we did a podcast with him. He was like, your best training buddy has to be a friend, but you also have to be like an arch nemesis in some way. Like it's like, man, I know Tommy's gonna crush me in the overhead squat, but how close can I stay today?
Right.
What I mean? And I gotta try to get him on the toes to bar in this workout because I know I'm trying to get something. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And it's the same way. So every time we got together and we trained together, it was like, okay, I'm trying to win this thing. Like I'm trying to win as an individual because I know that it's gonna put me in the best position to be the best teammate possible when it's time for us to grind.
Right.
And I also think that we were really humble. I think that we all knew where each other's strengths and weaknesses lied, and like I had no problem taking the back seat to you. You know what I mean? I had no problem taking the back seat to Tommy in a certain workout because I feel like at the right time we were all willing to follow each other, but we were still ready to lead if we ever had to. You know what I mean? Obviously, Hack given most of the vocal, dictations in regards to the way that we would game plan a workout. I mean, he's crazy about the numbers and setting things up, which saved us a ton.
Right.
But we were all ready for whatever role he gave us, I felt like. So.
Right. Yeah, I think a couple differences I see. One, you just talked about. So Tommy, because you own the gym, I think you naturally were the leader in that sense. A lot of people, a lot of teams, they have several leaders and they don't have someone that they default to in times of stress. And even if one person isn't necessarily a better leader, I think it's important to have someone that you're always going to go to look to and say, this is what we're going to do for the workout, whatever. Another thing, I think people are just working out at different times. They're on different programs, and which for a large portion of the season is okay. But when it came January, February, we pretty much did the exact same thing. We worked out at least 3 days a week all together, and I think that made the biggest difference. We went a lot harder in our workouts, and just the little things, joking in between, that kind of stuff, like that we became much better friends through that. You can get together and go out to eat with each other and stuff like that, but we spent hundreds, if not thousands of hours in the gym together, really getting to know each other, what we like, what we don't like, how do we like to be communicated with, all those little things that if you're not working out together on a daily basis, there's no way you can know all those little things. So if you get to the games and you have some kind of accident or something, you don't know how to deal with it. I think that was huge.
Yeah.
And we were lucky enough, all of us were coaches. We had a couple people with real jobs that were able to finagle things around, a few days a week to make it happen. But I think, honestly, that's make or break. And I think it's worth putting in the extra effort to getting together a few days a week, 4 days a week. Stuff like that. What do y'all think in terms of programming? So for the most part, once January started, we did the exact same thing every single day. With Brute, we coach some teams, and people are doing lots of different things. And a lot of times we get feedback, why are we doing something even similar? And I just default to what we did, and we were super successful. What do y'all think about all of that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how somebody could question a training program being the perfect program for them when they don't know what the hell they're going to do in the competition. Like, at a certain point, I mean, it's very obvious that you need to address weaknesses and strengths, and you need to train accordingly. But at the same time, whoever said you can't focus on your strengths, or you can't, excel even more at your strengths, or, everything's going to come up and be tested at a certain point. So, I think people tend to overreact to programming and overthink it. Coach Whittingham up at University of Utah is the head football coach. He was my linebacker coach when I was playing football, but he called it I'm pretty sure it was an 80-20 rule. Mm-hmm. Might have been 90-10, might have been 70-30. I think it was an 80-20 rule.
Yep.
Yeah, it's 80% how you do it and 20% what you do.
Yep.
So, not to discredit the genius behind the Brute programming, because there's a lot of people who are extremely successful mm-hmm. in their own specialties, mm-hmm. Contributing to that. So it's a better way to get from point A to point B. But I could follow my program, or I could follow Brookhans's program. Mm-hmm. And if I'm hungry and I'm training hard, mm-hmm. I'm motivated, and I'm training with people that are going to push me every day,
right,
I'll have more success regardless of the program in the right situation. Mm-hmm. So creating the right training environment. We talked about this last time. I don't want to, beat a dead horse, mm-hmm. but when you address those questions, just bring that up. Creating the right training environment is more important, and also kind of that collective suffering. Mm-hmm. That's what builds character, and that's what builds teamwork. So, even though you could have a, right off the top of my head, I can picture a games team with a male individual who's 5'5", 165 pounds, mm-hmm. and myself who's 6'1", 210 pounds. Very obviously, the same training program isn't going to be the best program for both of mm-hmm. us, but there's nothing wrong with us doing the same workouts over a period of time, as long as it's well-rounded.
Right.
As long as it hits my strengths and weaknesses and his strengths and weaknesses, we're probably better off pushing each other in those mm-hmm. areas, and at least respecting each other's abilities and shortcomings. Mm-hmm. Then when you get in a competition and I shit the bed on handstand push-ups, he's not blaming me, because he's seeing me how hard I've worked on those in
right.
the gym every time he kicks my ass.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't build that trust, and the only way to build that trust is to go to battle together, mm-hmm. Metaphorically speaking. Mm-hmm. So you talk about that in sports, and it's the same exact thing in this sport.
What are some other specific ways, Adrian, that we can create that environment? Yesterday, John told me one way he improves like people's confidence and their focus is, he says, if you miss a lift, you're out of the gym, right? So every single lift, from the warm-up to the heavy sets, they are 100% focused, because as soon as they miss a lift, their workout is done. What are some other ways that you know of, maybe that we did, stuff that you do in the gym to create that kind of environment?
Gosh, I think that obviously what he does is great, right? Because there's skin in the game. Every lift, there's no messing around, there's no playing around. Like from the opener to the finisher, like you're focused, and I think that's big. I don't even think we needed to do that and create that kind of atmosphere with our 6, which I think is the unique thing, right? Like, I think us working out together was enough. Like, I'm not about to embarrass myself and miss this 225 clean and jerk in this. Well, I don't care if I'm warm or not.
And that might be the key.
Walk up to it cold and snatch it. With
With
no warm up.
Me and you would be warming up for 20 minutes. We're building up, and then he comes in. All right, y'all ready to lift?
Yeah. Boom.
Motherfucker.
Yeah. So I do think
I was young once.
I do think that there's a lot of value in your athletes coaching each other too, right? Like for me, from a gym standpoint, as a head coach standpoint, I know that I'm creating a really, really, really quality environment when I hear my athletes coaching each other. So like, we could be working on a clean and jerk, and I hear someone that has no exercise science background, no degree, no certifications, and they're like over there helping coach their peer on this clean and jerk, and I know, well, they've listened to me enough, they've been around enough, and they care also about their peer enough to like help instruct that. I think that's big for a team. Like, you got to be willing to coach each other. Obviously, it can't just be like one person. It can't
And be coachable, right?
And be coachable. It's huge. I do think creating measurable standards is good too. Like you have to go into every workout with goals. You have to. You have to go in like, okay, what are we doing today? So how are we going to achieve that?
Yep. And
then like, okay, so my goal is, whether all the lifts are at 90% or 95%, I'm going 8 for 10.
Yep.
Right. And then everyone else in the gym knows you got to go 8 for 10. And whatever the penalty is, there's a penalty, right?
Yep.
I remember doing even an interval weight training session. I know we've talked about this a few times, but like, maybe we had a crappy day, and or Rob set some standards that were like, dude, we're not going to make that standard.
Right.
And sure enough, we doubted it, so we didn't hit the standard. Tommy texts Rob one day, tells him we didn't make the standard, and he's like, all right, this is what you got to do this afternoon then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's there's penalties involved, or there's some kind of consequence for you not meeting the expectation of the standard. That way, like, this isn't just for games. Like, we're actually trying to improve every day, and there's always goals, there's always standards that we need to meet. And if you don't have that kind of expectation for every training session, then it's easily going to fall to the wayside, or you're just going to be like, oh, well, I was tired today.
Right.
You can't leave room for those kind of excuses.
Right. I love that.
Train with a purpose.
Yeah.
And that mindfulness, that was something that got brought up in a SEAL Fit seminar I just attended, just a basic coaching certification that they just launched. But had a conversation with Mark Devine, the founder, prior to the seminar, kind of talked about just how mindful training, he has a Navy SEAL yoga, he's like this weird blend of awesomeness.
Warrior yoga.
Yeah.
Yep.
But they're in their methodology. This is something that was, really cool. The SEAL Fit methodology that I think brings a, very unique thing to training that not necessarily gets overlooked, but just isn't emphasized as much. And it's really the integrative training, the mind, body, spirit. And so, one way they develop the same stuff we were just talking about, kind of that, having more skin in the game and getting the most out of your workouts, whether it's creating that environment. They basically have standard operating procedure, pre-workout and post-workout.
Right.
And, with their philosophy, that involves breathing, involves box breathing. That's just one aspect of it. Also involves visualization, goal setting, and then it essentially involves a post-game as well. Looking back at the workout, looking at your wins and losses, looking at that workout, what didn't go well, and you address it, and then you spin it into something positive, and then you move forward. So taking everything negative that happened, kind of, facing up to it and spinning it forward, and just doing that extra 5 minutes before workout and 5 minutes after, Instead of just bullshitting and grabbing a band and, jerking your arm and leg in
Right,
weird
right.
directions.
So-
You're mindful of the training the whole time. You have specific
love
goals for this workout, and you also have the recap afterwards. And it's nothing, this exists in, workplaces. It exists in team sports. It's just, it's just one more layer you can add to training to get more out of your training.
Right. Yeah. So in the beginning, you're focusing, you're taking your mind off of whatever you're doing in real life, and you're focusing on what you're about to do, your training, whether it be work or physical training. And at the end, rather than saying, oh fuck, I suck, I can never do anything right, you take an honest look at it. You say, what could I have done better? And then the positive is, okay, I know exactly what I need to do now, right? Whereas I think a lot of people just dwell on what they're bad at, and in fact, they deflect and they become cocky, and they just don't focus on it, right? So I really, really like that. What else did you learn this weekend at the SEAL Fit?
It was just a good overall seminar for like introductory level to SEAL Fit coaching. So learning, the process of how to structure a SEAL Fit workout, what differs in that as opposed to general GPP type training, which is, in most cases it's their stamina work. So essentially, like kind of the way a workout would be structured in my box and a lot of CrossFit gyms is, you might have your warm up, your strength or skill work, and then your metabolic conditioning. Kind of those are like the big three. They add stamina work into what they do. And
What does that look like?
Basically just like 20 to 40 minutes typically, and so these sessions tend to take more than an hour, but it'll be 20 to 40 minutes of just kind of constant like grind and movement work. So not trying to come out of the gates too hot, like basically trying to kind of maintain a steady pace the whole time. And a lot of it's chipper style stuff, like 100 box step ups with a sandbag, 100 push-ups, and jog a mile with a log or whatever.
Right.
Just like kind of keep moving type of stuff. And it could be geared toward, what your emphasis is more. Again, it's more like that's the SEAL Fit training is for somebody who wants to, increase mental toughness, durability, stamina, more of an emphasis on kind of preparing for their crucible events like a Kokoro or like a 20X. So not claiming that this is like, CrossFit Games training.
Right.
But it's something that I've implemented just because I like the more integrated approach, and for like just kind of my own health, long-term health, and also just my current goals, like where I'm at right now in my life. It's pretty fulfilling for me.
Absolutely.
To use that stuff. So
They're truly changing people's lives.
yeah,
Every
yeah,
single person, whether they pass or fail, that life has changed.
Yeah, and this is a good way for people to get into it. Like, I didn't mean to come on here and plug it, but I'll always plug SEAL Fit.
Absolutely.
It's a good
As
thing.
will I.
But a lot of people are like, oh, I'm going to, I think SEAL Fit sounds like something I should do. I'm going to do a 20X, or I'm going to do Kokoro. And those are really meant to be like crucible events. Like, that's like what you train for.
Yeah.
So if you are curious, or if you want to kind of get into, SEAL Fit philosophy, and it's so much more than just like, oh, this is how our workouts are different than others. Like, that's like the smallest part of the seminar. Really, it's about how to, create a more integrated training style to your training, and then also to your life. We talk about the that kind of process of the pre-workout standard operating procedure, the post-workout standard operating procedure, like that's a day as well as a workout. So you wake up in the morning and you do that for your day, and you do positivity, visualization, goal setting in the morning, and at the end of the day, you review your day, and you address all those things, and so so those don't drag on into the next day, and into your sleep and into your dreams. So it's just really cool to to be exposed to that, and until you start really implementing the unbeatable mind principles into your life, you don't understand how powerful they are. But it's a really good seminar for kind of that approach. And I've done Kokoro twice, and I'm just now integrating those things into my life. Whereas most people start with unbeatable mind, and develop themselves that way, and then they train for that Kokoro thing. So I did a Bass Ackwards but it was, we all walk our own path.
Right.
And, I've realized that the Kokoro was cool, and I'm always attracted to the physical part of it. And we all
Yep.
were, like, we all did Kokoro.
Yep.
It was like, hooyah, let's go challenge ourselves.
Yep.
Let's go get the shit kicked out of us. Like, let's go see what we're made of, you
Right.
know? But, I kind of lacked the maturity to, I just want to test myself physically
Sure.
over and over and over. I want to be the hammer. Like, sometimes you got to be the feather,
Yeah.
or the willow, or the leaf.
I love it. It's really funny. All of those things you were saying, the planning, the inventory, the nightly inventory, that's all stuff that I learned in recovery.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same stuff. And those are just habits of successful people. That's what, that's how to set yourself up to be productive and successful. So I think that's really, really cool. I had the same experience. I thought it was just going to be a fun weekend. We were going to really test ourselves, and it was by far the most physically challenging thing of my life, but it was just as mentally challenging, emotionally challenging. And it taught me so much about myself and, being a good team member, being a contributing member of any kind of group. What was your experience, Conway? What did you go in thinking, and what did you come out learning?
With Kokoro, and gosh, Tommy did a good job of not letting us know really what to expect. So I really didn't have many thoughts going into it. I was like, yeah, this is going to be, it'll be fun, it'll be okay, whatever. I really didn't know what we were going to be in store for. By far the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, but also probably one of the most rewarding experiences I've ever had. I feel like you're in and outside and all around your brain and head and feelings and emotions throughout the weekend. Physically, you get beat up, man. If you go in really trying to put out the way that they try
Right.
to ask you to. So I went through it. I had a ton of open wounds. Like you're in the sand and you're in the ocean so much, and the rucksack just rubbed me raw on my armpits and my low back. Like I just had open wounds everywhere. So, and my feet were all beat up. Right, you endure these physical battles that I necessarily didn't envision that being an obstacle. And then even once you start to get past that, and you're dunking your head into the ocean in the middle of the night, and you're relying on this guy next to you not to poke his head up because you're ready to be done.
Right.
Everybody repetitively continues to do so. You got to really get outside of yourself to help others.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you do learn, like you said, communication is key, because they definitely call on you to be a leader and a follower and a part of the team. But I do think that there's a way to maybe make it through an experience like Kokoro and just kind of blend in.
Yeah.
And I think it takes it to a whole new level to actually try to
Right.
really be the best you that you can, and even raise the quality of the experience, or I guess what everyone else is capable of too. Because that's what I try to do the best that I could.
Right.
And honestly, at times I think it probably made it harder on me than it was on some of the other people that chose to try to just blend in or
Right.
shy
Absolutely.
away from it. But gosh, yeah, I'll tell you, as a team, when we talk about team building, I don't think I ever, had more respect for the five of us, from an admiration standpoint.
Right.
At any other time, it was
Yep.
greater than that. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? Just to know that we were in there grinding together, and what we overcame, and just you see the looks on people's faces, and you see how difficult what they're really experiencing is, and it's like, man, there ain't no other CrossFit teams that were doing that
Right.
together. And,
No.
it's a unique experience.
I mean, it's a spiritual experience, if nothing else, I think. And it's $1,500 and a plane ticket. How much is that kind of life-changing experience worth, right? I'd go do it again if I had worked out more than 3 times this month.
I agree.
Tommy Marquez better be ready. We're about to start training.
He wants it.
He does want it, huh?
Yeah.
Shit, man.
Bench press.
That's all we got to do, right?
Yeah, just bench press them every day.
Yeah. Looking back, you are 34?
Yeah, I just turned 34.
34. Congratulations. It's a big milestone.
Fucking old.
Looking back, you've been doing CrossFit 7 years?
Yeah.
What is one thing you would tell your 25-year-old self? Wow, I am bad at math right now. your
I tell my
26-year-old self.
25-year-old self to go find a CrossFit gym. Actually, go open a CrossFit gym.
What would you tell your 26-year-old self in terms of training and competing? What would you do differently?
Oh, wow. I would have sought out coaching right away. It wasn't as available at the time, but I didn't start working with an Olympic lifting coach till 3 years into it. I mean, I could not catch a snatch in the squat position till more than 3 years into CrossFit. So, I mean, that speaks volumes right there. My muscle ups improved drastically overnight after spending 1 hour with Dusty Highland.
Right.
The first time I met him and worked with him, after 2-3 years of being pretty good at him for a big guy. So that's the one thing, like seek out coaching, seek out people who know more than you, people who are experts in their own field. Never be, too proud to go learn from somebody.
Yeah.
You can learn, and you learn as a coach as well as a student. So, the CrossFit experience has been amazing over the last 7 years, but I'm just blown away by progress people can make.
Absolutely.
I'm blown away by the quality of coaching that I can provide. I'm also blown away by how bad of a coach I was 6 years ago. Like, I didn't know shit. So yeah, find good coaches and seek that out. That's it. I honestly, I think my whole time, like I didn't start doing CrossFit. I already had my son at that point. So I've always been able to keep a good perspective. I never let it get away from me. I don't have any regrets whatsoever about training too much or training too little. I've always kind of followed my heart through the whole process. So that's one thing I'm proud of. Yeah, man, it's the Hacks Pack is still, looking back, by far that'll always be the high point for me. It was just such a special group. But I'm still having a lot of fun with it to this day.
Right. Two quick things before we go to you, Adrian. One, I want to acknowledge I am a relatively intelligent person. 34 minus 7 is 27. I got it wrong twice. I'll acknowledge that. And then also, the level of competition at regionals and games, and the quality of lifting and gymnastics work being done there is absolutely incredible. People are, the vast majority of people are very proficient at all of that stuff. With that said, you go to local competitions and there is some dangerous stuff going on, and that just reminds me, like, it's not all about the programming. You should have a coach. You should be in an environment where you are always trying to get better at technique and stuff like that. That has, in my opinion, and it sounds like yours too, Tommy, a much bigger impact than how many sets and reps you're doing. Are you doing high quality reps? Right?
Yeah, the urgency's got to be there. I mean, you have to be training with a purpose every single day, and you got to be hungry if you want to succeed in this landscape we're now in.
What about you, Adrian? What would you tell your younger self when you first started?
I would tell my younger self that there's a lot more to CrossFit than the competitive side, because I think that's what drew me in initially. And before I started training at U with everyone as a team, I was mostly just training on my own. I made it up to Wasatch CrossFit a few times to participate in the open workouts, but I never really was embedded in any particular community. And now that's really what fuels a lot of my fire is like the lives that I get to impact as a coach, and even just training with people. Like, it's a game changer. Like, I honestly can't imagine how much better I'd have been as an athlete. All the things Tommy said considered, right? You get eyes on you, you get quality movement versus just reps in a workout. But like just being embedded in a community, just meeting new people, being inspired by people with a ton of they could have completely lesser ability than myself, and they're going harder than I am in a particular workout. Just how that impacts me as an athlete and what it brings out of me as an individual. So I would definitely say, get out there and get in the community. You know what I mean? Get coached, obviously, as a priority, but surround yourself with like-minded people that enjoy doing hard things.
What is who is an athlete or non-athlete that you look up to these days?
These days, goodness, man, that's a really good question. Man, growing up, I was a big Michael Jordan fan. He's still probably my favorite athlete. Mainly, and you see a lot of high talented basketball players. I mean, Kobe's good. Kobe's got a little bit of Jordan in him, and then LeBron is the most talented. But Jordan just was a killer, and I was always drawn to any athlete that has that killer instinct. I think that he was obsessive with being great and being the best, and so that was something that was evident. Like, people always said, like, he wasn't the nicest guy or he wasn't the best leader, but he's got 6 NBA titles, and I'm pretty sure Scottie Pippen was better because of him. And we wouldn't know who Luke Longley or Steve Kerr were, like, without him being a part of their team. And so it's like, I look up to him probably the most from an athletic perspective, just due to his work ethic and his killer instinct. Like, I really think that if someone was like, "Hey, Mike, you can win another title, but you got to stab Kobe in the back with a knife just behind his third rib," he would do it.
Right.
And then be like, "Do you got my ring?" or "What's up?"
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I appreciate that, because I think nowadays you see athletes like LeBron, and it's all good. It gives a new attitude and perspective to things, and he's willing to share the limelight, and like he's willing to make that extra pass, and all that's cute. But like, I want to play with the guy that's like, I'll do whatever it takes to get this W right now, and I want to be the best ever. Period.
Right. Love it. I think you said
Adrian's moving to Cookville.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here's the thing. Like, that sums up pretty much Rich, right? Like,
That is fucking
he
funny.
does whatever he got to do to get that W, and he's willing to do it, and I think that goes a long way. I mean,
He's a hardcore competitor.
Yeah.
people just aren't willing to do what he can. And then there's a few people that try to, and maybe they just can't survive it.
Right.
He's blessed in the ability to stay healthy and,
Right.
and be able to do his thing, but mentality-wise, unmatched.
Right.
Nobody works harder.
And he's not all over social media. He's not traveling every weekend. Like he is very focused on one thing, being the fittest man on earth, right? And everybody else tries to do both, it seems like, right?
I agree. Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of people are drawn to what being the fittest in the world would bring you. Concerns him very little.
Right.
He's already thinking about next year.
Right.
Like he wins the games on a Sunday.
Yeah. He's thinking about
He's
dynasty.
already thinking, like, what do I have to do to be back here next year?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? There's not this time where it's like, oh, I mean, sure, he rests his body. He's not an idiot. He's very smart. And but yeah, most people aren't willing to sacrifice that much and be that obsessed with the detail to be the best in order to achieve it.
Right. All right. About time to wrap it up. Tommy, what do you have going on in the near future? What do you want people to know about?
Oh, just having a baby in April, man. Got a beautiful wife. I'm madly in love. Hope to be down in Brazil sometime this winter. I'd love to
Nice.
be down there for a week or two.
Go visit Brendan?
Yeah,
Nice.
go see Brennan down there.
Hell yeah.
Visit a few gyms. So I hope that pans out. It's logistically, I got to get my wife down there with me and
Cool.
see how she's feeling. But
Where will people be able to hear about that? Will you post? You'll tweet it. You'll Instagram it, all that stuff.
Yeah, social media, just
Yeah.
Twitter, Instagram, Tommy Hacksaw. So hope to be down in Brazil. I've been reaching out to a lot of just personal friends, gym owners. Doing a little bit of consulting with running some 6-week challenges with their gym. So that's something I'm kind of having fun doing. And
Cool.
We did it at CrossFit and added about 70 people.
Awesome.
In 2 months. So
Where can people reach you if they want that kind of thing, or they want you to come out to Brazil?
in Brazil, reach out to me on social media or email me, Tommy at utecrossfit.com. For the challenges, don't worry about it. I'll find you. I'm basically just working with people I know and our close personal friends. It's really just a small thing.
Cool.
But it's been a lot of fun for me to pay it forward because it helped my gym a lot. And
Very cool.
I know there's other people out there that they're in a similar situation, that they're great trainers and great gym owners, and they love what they do, and they fucking suck at marketing.
Right.
And so kind of. I'm not going to help them with any marketing,
Right,
but
right.
I know a guy who can.
Right.
So, that's it. just having a lot of fun coaching people,
Hell
honestly.
yeah.
It's been good.
That's awesome. Con, what you got on the horizon? What do you want people to know about?
Man, we got this Brute Compete, man.
That's right.
Brute Strength. new
What is
program
Brute Compete?
launcher, man. Brute Compete is a program that, gosh, we've been working hard on and trying to find a legitimate way to apply what brute strength training is to a larger group of people that I think, want to have the same kind of goals and fitness level as people that they see at the CrossFit Games, but don't have the time to train that way.
Mm-hmm.
And so we basically found a way to implement our training style of having specialists involved, training weakness, having essentially a one-on-one type program established for the individual at a lesser cost and honestly in a time-efficient way.
Right.
So, they go through a testing process. We implement exactly what they need, and then they get a weekly workout plan that goes 6 days a week, and it is from anywhere from 55 minutes to 90 minutes training window, and they're going to see some great results and obviously be a part of a great community and on our online forum that we created and get some one-on-one coaching as well.
Hell yeah. Yeah, there's been a very high amount of interest in the program already, so I'm stoked to see where you take it, man. If you haven't already, go to www.brutestrengthtraining.com and sign up for the newsletter. We'll share with you or the new podcast, the brute tip of the week, what we're doing in training, lots of free stuff. Hope you enjoyed the show.